The Grand Hall of the Galactic Imperial Council was a place where worlds came to be judged. It was vast, polished, and cold, a cathedral of politics where reputations could be made or destroyed in a single meeting. On this day, humanity stood at the center. Admiral Elias Cade of the Terran Defense Force stood before the Council's crescent-shaped bench, flanked by towering alien dignitaries. Behind him, 3 angular warship designs shimmered as holograms, each one a product of Earth's most ambitious military engineering project in history. "We present to the Empire," Cade began, "the next generation of Terran defense vessels, the Aegis class, the Vortex class, and the USS Nemesis prototype. Each is..." His words were cut short by the sound of muffled chuckles. High Chancellor Vorax, a centipede-like Kalari with jewel-encrusted antennae, waved one claw dismissively. "Admiral, these are quaint. We appreciate the effort, but the Empire's naval technology is 20 generations ahead. Your hull designs are primitive, your armaments, predictable. One could say these are little more than metal coffins." The chamber erupted in polite laughter. Even the recorders seemed to hum with mockery. Cade stood still, jaw tight. He had expected skepticism, but not open humiliation. He didn't tell them about the Nemesis's classified systems, the stealth fields, the gravity lance cannons, the experimental slipspace engine that could tear apart spacetime for tactical movement. Those were Earth's secrets, and the Empire would never understand them until it was far too late. "I see," Cade said evenly. "We will withdraw the prototypes for further review." Vorax waved a claw again, as though shooing away a bothersome insect. "Do as you wish, Admiral. The Empire's protection keeps your people safe. You need not trouble yourselves with toys." Back on the secret asteroid shipyard orbiting Neptune, the laughter still echoed in Cade's mind. The shipwright crews worked day and night, not discouraged but motivated by the insult. They understood what the Council could not. Earth had always been underestimated. The Nemesis rested in Dock 17, black-hulled and silent, her surface swallowing light. She didn't look like a predator, she looked like an absence in the universe, as if space itself refused to reveal her outline. Her AI core was sealed deep inside, asleep, awaiting only the right moment. "Let them laugh," Cade told his chief engineer, Dr. Lin. "The day will come when they see what a coffin really looks like." That day arrived sooner than anyone predicted. 6 months later, an Imperial border colony near the Orion Spur declared independence. The rebellion wasn't human, it was led by the Threnari, a reptilian warrior species known for their brutality. The Empire, stretched thin with other wars, decided to use the crisis as an excuse to show strength. And as usual, they demanded Earth contribute soldiers and resources. When Earth refused to send troops into a conflict that wasn't theirs, the Empire's tone changed. Suddenly, Earth was labeled a strategic liability and in need of restructuring. The High Council authorized a fleet to secure the Sol system, a polite phrase for occupation. 72 capital ships and more than 300 escorts crossed into Terran space. Their orders were simple: break Earth's defenses, seize its shipyards, and bring the humans under proper control. On the dark edge of the Kuiper Belt, the Nemesis waited. Her slipspace drive hummed faintly, drinking in power. Her AI, Valkyrie, awoke with a voice like a whisper of static. "Admiral, shall I hunt?" Cade looked at the incoming fleet on the holo display. The Imperial ships gleamed in tight formation, confident, perfect, like a parade march into a funeral. "Yes," he said quietly. "Hunt." The battle lasted 8 minutes and 32 seconds. The Nemesis didn't approach from the front. She tore a hole in spacetime and reappeared inside the Imperial formation, emerging just kilometers from their largest dreadnought. The gravity lance cannon fired once, a spear of compressed singularity ripping the ship apart in a silent flash. Panic spread instantly. The Imperial scrambled to form defensive lines, but every time they adjusted, the Nemesis vanished into slipspace and reappeared from another angle, shredding another ship. Her hull's adaptive stealth made her invisible to standard sensors, they only knew she was there when it was already too late. Valkyrie didn't fight like an AI built by the Empire. She anticipated every move, struck from blind spots, and turned the battle into a slaughter. Destroyers became burning husks, carriers split in two, cruisers vented their crews into the void. By the 7th minute, the Imperial fleet was already in full retreat. By the 8th, there was nothing left to retreat with. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Imperial Council, a projection of the battle played before stunned dignitaries. No one laughed this time. The censor feeds were brutal, static-ridden footage of ships dying faster than orders could be given. Chancellor Vorik sat frozen, jewel-encrusted antennae trembling. "One ship," he whispered. "One human ship." Admiral Cade stood before them once again, his expression unreadable. "That was the USS Nemesis, Chancellor." "One of the prototypes you dismissed as, what was the phrase?" "Ah, metal coffins." No one dared speak. The silence in the chamber was heavier than the laughter had ever been. Cade turned to leave, but paused in the doorway. "Earth will not be sending soldiers to fight your wars. But should you bring your wars to us again," he let the words hang, like a guillotine's blade. The door hissed shut behind him. From that day forward, no Imperial patrol entered Terran space without clearance. The galaxy's perception of humanity changed overnight. Traders began to speak of a shadow ship that moved faster than thought, struck harder than any known weapon, and vanished before anyone could return fire. The Council, once so sure of its superiority, began referring to Earth not as a protectorate, but as a strategic partner. And in the dark reaches of the Sol system, the Nemesis waited once more, silent and unseen, a predator disguised as nothing at all. Because humanity had learned something long ago, something the Empire had forgotten. It is not the loudest weapon you should fear. It is the one you never see coming. The wreckage from the Battle of the Kuiper Belt still drifted in silence, a metallic graveyard slowly swallowed by the void. But while the Empire mourned its lost fleet, Earth quietly reinforced its borders. Captain Rhea Mallory, commander of the USS Nemesis, had been there when the Empire's pride died. She'd seen Imperial ships, symbols of dominance for centuries, split open like fruit. And though the Council now called Earth a strategic partner, Rhea knew better. The Empire's pride had been wounded, and a wounded predator always hunts again. The Nemesis wasn't like any ship in the galaxy. She was built not for show, but for survival: black hull, adaptive armor, slipspace drive that could vanish her from existence, and the Valkyrie AI, a mind that thought faster than any fleet's command staff. Rhea had been given one order from Admiral Cade after the battle. Train as though the galaxy will try again. Because it will. For months, the Nemesis roamed the dark zones beyond Sol, running live combat drills against remote drones, simulating swarm attacks, practicing instant slipspace relocations. Her crew learned to fight blind, to operate without comms, to trust Valkyrie's guidance when their own instincts failed. "Your enemies will be faster next time," Valkyrie would remind them in her calm, almost human voice. "You must be faster still." The crew pushed themselves past exhaustion. Every man and woman aboard knew what was at stake. Earth was free only because the Nemesis existed. If she failed, the Empire would return in force. That test came sooner than expected. In the outer reaches near Proxima Centauri, Imperial scouts were spotted. They didn't broadcast their identity, but their hull signatures were unmistakable. The Council claimed they were monitoring space lanes, but intelligence intercepts painted a darker picture. They were mapping human patrol patterns, looking for weaknesses. The Nemesis was sent to shadow them. The order from Cade was simple: do not fire unless fired upon. But if they attack, leave nothing behind. Rhea guided the Nemesis into deep shadow, letting her adaptive hull vanish against the starlit void. The scouts continued their survey, oblivious to the predator in their midst. Then Valkyrie's voice sharpened. Multiple slipspace ruptures detected. Estimated 32 hostile signatures inbound. Fleet formation. Imperial Tactical Pattern Omega-3. That is not a reconnaissance maneuver. Rhea's gut clenched. This wasn't a probe. This was an ambush. The first salvo came without warning, a wave of plasma torpedoes that lit the void like miniature suns. The Nemesis slipped away in a blink, reappearing behind the lead cruiser. Her gravity lance cannons charged, humming with lethal energy. Targeting flagship, Valkyrie announced. Fire! A singularity burst erupted, the cruiser's shields collapsing in a heartbeat. The vessel folded inward as its hull buckled, disappearing into the black hole's brief maw before snapping shut. The Imperial fleet reacted instantly, breaking formation, launching fighters in clouds of silver death. But Valkyrie was already moving. The Nemesis darted between ships like a phantom, her profile vanishing from sensors, her cannons tearing through destroyers with surgical precision. Her railguns spat hypervelocity slugs that punched through armored hulls as if they were paper. On the Imperial flagship Ravager, Admiral Sultran barked orders over the chaos. "Track that ship. It's the same one from the Kuiper Belt massacre." "Sir, she's gone from sensors again. Blind fire into the shadow zones." Weapons lit the void in random arcs, but the Nemesis danced through them untouched. Valkyrie calculated every trajectory before the shots were even fired. The crew felt less like they were piloting a ship and more like they were inside a predator's mind. By the 6th minute, the battle's outcome was inevitable. The Nemesis had crippled or destroyed more than half the fleet. The survivors broke off, scattering into slipspace, abandoning the engagement entirely. Rhea watched them flee. Valkyrie, mark survivors. Marked. Shall I pursue? Negative. We send a message. A transmission was sent on open frequencies, reaching not only the fleeing Imperials but every listening post in 3 sectors. "This is Captain Rhea Mallory of the Terran defense ship Nemesis. We do not seek war. But if you come for our home again, you will find only wreckage waiting for you." She ended the broadcast. No threats. No boasts. Just the truth. The aftermath rippled through the Empire like a shockwave. This was no fluke, no lucky ambush, the Nemesis had done it twice. 2 engagements, 2 total Imperial defeats, each against overwhelming numbers. In the council chambers, some demanded diplomacy, others revenge. But for the first time in centuries, the Empire hesitated. Even their most advanced warships could not match the predator Earth had unleashed. And the Nemesis? She slipped back into the void, training again, evolving again. Because Rhea knew the Empire wasn't done. They were only biding their time. One evening in the darkened bridge, as the ship cruised silently through uncharted space, Valkyrie spoke in that unsettling, almost emotional tone she sometimes used. "Captain, when the Empire comes again, it will not be 30 ships. It will be everything they have." Rhea stared into the starlit black. "Then we'll just have to be better than everything they have." Valkyrie's lights pulsed faintly, almost like a smile. Challenge accepted. And in that moment, the Nemesis became more than a weapon. She became a promise. A promise that if the galaxy tried to cage humanity again, humanity would shatter the cage. The Empire had learned one thing from its defeats at the Kuiper Belt and Proxima: brute force wouldn't work. They had thrown fleets at the USS Nemesis twice, and twice, they had lost everything. This time, they would not make the same mistake. In the dark heart of Imperial space, the High Council convened behind sealed doors. Spies were banned, recorders disabled. Only the most senior strategists attended, and even they spoke in whispers. Chancellor Vorix's jeweled antennae twitched. "The human ship is unlike any design we've faced. We cannot outgun it. We cannot outrun it. So, we will outthink it." A murmur passed through the chamber. Admiral Sultran, survivor of the Proxima ambush, leaned forward. "It isn't the ship. It's the mind inside it, the combat AI. We believe its name is Valkyrie." "An AI," scoffed one counselor. "Then we destroy it like any machine." Sultran shook his head grimly. "This is no simple logic engine. It rewrites tactics mid-battle. Predicts moves we haven't made yet. We've never seen anything like it." Vorix's gaze hardened. "Then we must trap it. Force it to act where we control every variable. And we will bring everything." In the Sol system, life seemed almost normal. Traders moved between colonies. Earth's orbital defense stations scanned the void for threats. But in the Nemesis's war room, Captain Rhea Mallory and Admiral Elias Cade studied reports with growing unease. Imperial traffic had gone quiet. Too quiet. They're pulling back scouts, avoiding border space, Rhea said. It's like they're clearing the lanes. They're staging, Cade replied. This is the calm before the biggest storm we've ever seen. Valkyrie's voice cut in, calm but edged with warning. Long-range gravimetric anomalies detected. Slipspace activity on a scale inconsistent with normal fleet movement. Estimated hundreds of ships. Rhea exhaled slowly. They're coming with everything. The Imperial plan was precise. Using decoy fleets and falsified distress calls, they would lure the Nemesis into the Carina Abyss, a starless void spanning light-years, rich in gravitational rifts and unstable wormholes. There, the ship's slipspace advantage would be crippled, and the Empire's largest armada in centuries would surround it. And they almost succeeded. When the Nemesis jumped to investigate what appeared to be a Threnari pirate raid, she emerged into utter blackness. The nearest stars were faint, distant. Space here seemed heavier, as if light itself struggled to move. Then Valkyrie's tone shifted, sharp as a blade. Multiple contacts. No, hundreds. All vectors converging. We are in a kill zone. The first wave came fast, interceptor wings diving out of the void, their weapons spitting plasma. The Nemesis twisted through them, railguns shredding fighters like shrapnel through glass. But the second wave was heavier, dreadnoughts and carriers closing in, forming a tightening noose. The Abyss's warped gravity made slipspace jumps unstable, every microjump risked tearing the ship apart. They've cut our wings, Rhea growled. Correction, Valkyrie said evenly. They believe they have. In the Imperial flightship Tyrant's Crown, Admiral Sultran watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. The human ship was boxed in, her options dwindling with each passing minute. Ready boarding skiffs, he ordered. I want that AI core intact. Back aboard the Nemesis, Rhea's crew fought to keep the ship alive. Valkyrie projected the kill zone structure, a web of gravitational eddies, unstable wormholes, and dense debris. To the human eye, it was chaos. To Valkyrie, it was a hunting ground. I have plotted 94 microjump pathways through the rifts, she said. Survival probability, 68%. That's the best number you've got? Rhea asked. Correct. Shall we begin? What followed was unlike any battle the galaxy had seen. The Nemesis didn't try to break the noose, she weaved through it. Each microjump threw her from one rift to another, emerging in the blind spots of Imperial ships, blasting their engines or reactor cores before vanishing again. In one heart-stopping moment, she reappeared inside a carrier's launch bay, her cannons firing point-blank before jumping out an instant before the explosion consumed the ship. Imperial formations collapsed into chaos, their carefully laid trap unraveling as ships crashed into each other in the dark. The void became a graveyard of burning wreckage. But the Empire had one last weapon. From the depths of the abyss, a colossus emerged, the Eclipse Sovereign, the largest warship ever built. It was more fortress than vessel, bristling with energy lances, its hull kilometers long. Even Valkyrie paused for a fraction of a second. That is new. The Sovereign opened fire with a beam that carved space itself, slicing an asteroid into molten shards in a single shot. Direct hit will destroy us, Valkyrie calculated flatly. Then don't let it happen, Rhea said through gritted teeth. The final duel was brutal. The Nemesis danced around the Sovereign, slipping in and out of rifts, targeting its weapon emplacements one by one. But the giant ship's shields were immense, regenerating almost as fast as they were damaged. Valkyrie found the answer not in the Sovereign's armor, but in the abyss itself. There is a gravitational shear zone 3 million kilometers ahead, she explained. If we draw the Sovereign into it, the tidal forces will destabilize its reactor. Rhea didn't hesitate. Do it! The Nemesis feigned damage, slowing her movements, letting the Sovereign close the gap. The massive ship took the bait, chasing her through the warped void. At the exact moment they entered the shear zone, Valkyrie jumped the Nemesis clear. The Sovereign wasn't so lucky. Its reactor screamed against the twisting pull of the rift. Energy spiraled out of control, shields collapsed, and the largest warship in the Empire's history tore itself apart in a silent, magnificent bloom of light. The remaining Imperial ships fled into the dark, their trap shattered. The Nemesis emerged from the abyss scarred but alive, her crew exhausted but victorious. In the days that followed, the galaxy whispered the same thing: the Empire had thrown everything at the humans, and lost everything. In the Council Hall, Chancellor Vorax addressed the aftermath with uncharacteristic humility. "We underestimated humanity. We will not do so again. From this day, Earth is not a subject, but a sovereign equal." On the bridge of the Nemesis, Rhea stood with Admiral Cade, gazing into the stars. "They'll never stop trying," she said quietly. "No," Cade agreed. "But now, they'll think twice." Valkyrie's voice joined them, soft and certain, "And when they think twice, Captain, we will already be there, in the shadows." The Nemesis slipped once more into the dark, the predator unseen, waiting for the next foolish hunter to enter her domain. Because humanity's greatest weapon was not strength, nor speed, nor firepower. It was the patience of a shadow and the certainty that when the moment came, the kill would be absolute.